Good morning. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to start the meeting, and I'm going to apologize up front. I have never run a meeting before. Not this meeting. I've been on the board quite a while. My name is David Allen, and some of our members are being replaced, or we're in a transitional period right now, so it probably won't be as smooth as it should be, but bear with me. So we're going to move the public hearing to order. It's a little after 9. We're going to ask for certification of today's meeting.
Yes.
We have it certified. We need a motion and a second to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I introduced myself as David Allen because we have new members here. I'm going to let the members introduce themselves if they would, please.
I'm Robin Meyer.
Jamie Feffless.
And Jim Boda.
Thank you. We'll have the staff, we'll read the public notice.
We need to adopt,
Oh, I'm sorry.
adopt the minutes of last month.
Okay, we need a motion to adopt the minutes from last month.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Now you're good.
Now we can have the staff read the public notice, please.
Please take note that the Sauk County Board of Adjustments will hold a public hearing on June 30th, 2022 at 9 a.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard in the county boardroom of Sauk County West Square Building in the city of Bearwood to consider. SP-11-2022, a request for special exceptions permit pursuant to 7.038, paragraph 1, subparagraph I, of the Sauk County zoning ordinance to authorize the continued operation of a non-metallic mining site, 1 acre or greater and a non-metallic mining reclamation permit pursuant to section 24.05 of the Sauk County non-metallic mining reclamation ordinance, filed by Yahara Materials on behalf of Elsing Farms LLC. The property is located on real estate described as part of the northeast corner of the southeast corner, part of the southeast quarter of the southeast quarter, and part of the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 8 and 9, Township 9 North, Range 6 East, including parcels 028-0194-00000. Parcel number 028-0197-00000 and parcel number 028-0217-00000. Hall Road access only. In the town of Prairie du Sac, Sauk County, Wisconsin.
We would ask that the LRE staff provide the background and history.
Swear in.
Pardon?
Swear for rain.
Oh, gotta swear you in. Give your name and address for the record.
Gina Temple, Steward, LRE Department.
Do you swear to tell the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
So I have a request from Yahara Materials on behalf of Elsing Farms LLC for a special exception permit for the continued operation of a non-metallic mine site, 1 acre or greater. Yahara is requesting an extension of their special exception permit that was originally approved in 2017. The site has been active since 2015 due to being utilized to supply sand for the DOT while construction of State Road 60 was taking place. This request will allow continued sand extraction and associated reclamation activities to take place. The mining activities take place behind and in conjunction with a large farming operation. The applicants have recently updated the reclamation plan, financial assurance, and DNR WPDS general permit, and they have shown responsible management and are in constant communication with staff regarding operations and permits. The criteria for a special exception permit to be reviewed: the establishment, maintenance, operation of the proposed use may not be detrimental. The site is in compliance with Sauk County Code Chapter 24 and NR 135. It is operated in a responsible manner that does not minimize public health, safety, or welfare. Exhibit G references site inspection photos that were taken on June 10th of this year. The use will be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained to be compatible. The site is a small by mineral extraction standards. The entire proposed operational footprint will not be disturbed all at once. Smaller areas of the site will be disturbed in increments of approximately 1 to 2 acre sections. Operating in this manner will keep the total area disturbed at any particular point to a minimum, and it will be reclaimed to a level surface for future livestock rearing facilities and crop storage buildings. Grassland and other vegetation to be planted with the intent of using for the existing ag operation taking place on the site, which will match the surrounding ag and grassland landscape. The erosion control potential, or the erosion potential on the site. The site is internally drained, and the applicant has a site-specific WPDS stormwater permit through the DNR. And a berm is maintained for internal drainage and reduces the potential of sediment or debris leaving the operation. The prevention and control of water pollution. The operator holds, again, a general permit for the mining operation and has a Wisconsin pollution discharge elimination permit by the DNR. These plans implement best management practices for pollution prevention, and the grading associated with the reclamation will maintain the undisturbed drainage patterns, which will allow for drainage to continue through the site and to the eastern watershed. The water from the reclaimed site will not enter into the western watershed, which will prevent water from the site entering into Honey Creek. Whether the site has adequate utilities, the applicant produces very little refuse at the site, and all waste is hauled off-site. Whether the site has access to roads and highways, they have access to State Road 60. Whether they have suitable ingress and egress, they do. Whether the site is designed to minimize traffic congestion, there's no anticipated traffic congestion or effect on traffic flow. Hauling is conducted in a manner to avoid congestion and to minimize backup potential, and there's no change from the previously approved permit. The secondary standards for non-metallic mine site of this size, whether it complies with the provisions of Chapter 24 and NR 135. The proposed renewal does comply with Chapter 7, Chapter 24, and NR 135, and the applicant has updated their plans and their financial assurance in 2019. The establishment, maintenance, or operation shall not endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. The applicant, again, has been in operation under the previous SEP for the past 5 years without doing so, and the applicant has actively protected the value of the landscape, noise, and dust pollution. The planned post-mining landscape will blend in with the surrounding landscape through becoming part of the active farming operation taking place on site. The establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception permit use will not affect the existing use of adjacent properties. The mine has been in operation without substantially affecting the existing use of lands by the surrounding landowners with the same operator. Adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, traffic plans. Again, the site is internally drained. There's access to State Road 60 through the existing multi-use driveway. Outdoor lighting. There's no lighting applied for with this permit. However, any lights to be used shall be pointed downward with shielded lighting fixtures to meet this requirement. Non-metallic mining use shall conform to all government regulations. Again, the activity will comply with Codes Chapter 724, Admin Code 135, and NR 216. The site has updated all of their permits and plans in 2019, and any changes to their stormwater pollution prevention plan must be submitted to the DNR for approval. Noise, vibration, dust levels be in the standards established by the state. The applicant will maintain and control noise levels and air quality according to state and federal government health regulations, MSHA and the Clean Water Act. An undeveloped buffer zone, not less than 50 feet from a property line, not less than 600 feet from a residence. The applicant has maintained this undeveloped buffer zone and over a 600-foot buffer from all structures on adjacent properties. The reclamation plan will be enforceable. The plan has been updated in 2019 and is in compliance with all code. Stormwater runoff leaving the site be controlled. Stormwater will remain on site and infiltrate. The applicant holds a DNR permit again. Any changes to that plan shall be submitted to the DNR prior to expansion. Groundwater protection, the stormwater pollution plan and the spill prevention plan are approved by the DNR and addresses practices for this. Reclamation shall be conducted in a manner, and operations conducted in a manner that does not cause permanent lowering of the groundwater table. Staff do not feel that their operation or reclamation is going to impact the groundwater table. Additional findings and conditions, vegetative screening. The operator has been maintaining a vegetative screen and a berm around the perimeter of the property. This property is also an active farm operation, and the mine site is behind the ag buildings in current operation. Safety standards. The site has a gate and warning signs near the entrance. The site shares a space with an active farm operation, and we simply recommend placing any needed warning signs throughout between the farming operation and the active mine operation. Water from the site, dewatering. The site has been approved by DNR with a general permit. The applicant will be required to update this plan prior to any expansion. Noise kept below 70 decibels. The site appears to meet this requirement. Any conditions reasonable to protect public health, safety, and welfare. The applicant will continue to operate the site in a reasonable manner that protects public health, safety, and welfare. Assurance. Performance bonds or substitute guarantees. The applicant has a continuous bond in favor of Sauk County that is in compliance and was just updated in 2019. Clear identification of the relationships between landowners, lessees, licensees, operators. This has been provided. If there's any unresolved dispute between the claimant and the applicants, there is arbitration in accordance to Chapter 788. The applicants are aware of this provision. Time of operation, the applicant is requesting a 5-year renewal of their special exception permit, and the site has been recently inspected for compliance. Termination of non-metallic mining activities. The applicant is aware of any termination requirements. Stockpiling not allowed after final reclamation. The applicant is aware of this requirement. The Plan Commission and Town recommendation. The Town of Prairie du Sac Plan Commission met on May 19th and forwarded a motion of approval to the full town board. Prairie du Sac Town Board met on June 14th and recommended approval of the special exception permit with recommended conditions. Those are in Exhibit H and also included in our recommended conditions should you choose to accept them. Based on the information provided in the analysis of Section 7.151, Print 5, Print A, and Print B, and 7.151, Print 6, Print A through Print F, the staff submits this application meets the standards and requirements for a special exception permit to be approved, and the department recommends approval of this application. Should you choose to approve the application today, we recommend the following conditions. The special exception non-metallic mining operation shall be established and constructed in accordance with the testimony plan, specification, and information provided as part of the record to the board today. The applicant shall apply for a land use permit and be issued one by the department according to the review procedures and standards. Land use permit can only be issued following the decision by the Board of Adjustment. Letter, the permit shall be valid for a period of 5 years and may be renewed by the Board of Adjustment at that time. This special exception permit expires on June 30th, 2027. The applicant shall maintain signage and a locked gate at the entrance of the mining operation. A 50-foot undeveloped buffer zone between all adjacent property lines and a 600-foot buffer zone be maintained between any adjacent residences. All work on land and use of the premise shall proceed with the plans and evidence presented today. Responsibility to maintain all town, state, federal, and county permits. Hours of operation. These hours of operations that are included in here are the standard hours of operations that we use with all of our pits. This operator may not use these hours. They typically fall between these, but he can address those if he wants to do something different. Again, under emergency situations, the zoning administrator shall have the power to enact emergency operational hours. Adequate financial assurance shall be maintained. Special exception permit is non-transferable. Work shall take place only in areas zoned for mining activity and shall not encroach on the floodplain or shoreline zoning areas. The Town of Prairie du Sac recommended conditions include loading slips, other documents, and other appropriate methods should be kept for review at the end of a 5-year period. At least 50% of the sum of the material shall be used on the farm or another farm for ag purposes during this 5-year period. And the department shall be granted permission to view the site to ensure compliance with these conditions. And failure of the applicant to follow all the standards set forth by the Board of Adjustment today is grounds for suspension or revocation and possible enforcement action. Any questions?
Any questions of Gina?
No.
I guess not. Must did a good job.
Perfect.
We'd ask that the applicant would come up, please. Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Robin Loger, Wanakee, Wisconsin.
And would you raise your right hand? Swear to tell the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. What would you like to tell us?
Basically, we're looking to renew our special exemption permit. We've operated for the last 5 years. Haven't had any issues. We're just looking to extend it again, operate under the same conditions. The hours that are in there, pretty much we can work within them. We have all the conditions met. I don't believe we've had any complaints over the last 5 years, and we're looking to proceed for another 5.
Any questions of the applicant? So, dismiss it? All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So now we ask if anybody wants to. Is there anybody from the audience that would want to speak in favor of? And I want to remind you, you have to be signed up in the back of the room. And the other thing, everybody has to come up to the front because these sessions are recorded and we need to have you where the microphone is. So anybody in favor? Anybody not in favor? Anybody as interest may appear? Close this session. Thoughts?
They're following the rules and as permitted and all the requirements are met, I think, to extend.
Just a continuation.
I guess my thought is, you know, these are renewals, and if we haven't had any trouble in the past, people are good to work with. If they don't do what they're supposed to, we can pull the permit at any time. So I would ask for a motion to approve or disapprove.
I'll make the motion with the LRE staff recommendations.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Thank you and good luck. Take a break? No. I'm sorry. This is not fun. We're on schedule, aren't we? I could tell a little thing that happened to me this morning. Yesterday, I went to the VA at Toma for my eye check, and I had a question for him this morning, so I called them, and a little while later, I get a phone call. They said, "Is everybody all right at this residence?" I said, "Yeah, why?" He said, "Well, we heard while you were talking about cleaning up blood." And where would you get that from? Who was talking? He said, "Well, you were." Well, then I got to thinking, we had a raccoon get in the bird feeders, so we set a trap. So I shot the raccoon this morning, and while I threw in 2 things at once, I asked my grandson, "Would you please get rid of that raccoon and clean up the blood?" So you gotta watch what you say. Ready to call the, right, second, we'd ask that, are you gonna present this one? You're going to? Okay.
Okay, please take notice that the Sauk County Board of Adjustments will hold a public hearing on June 30th, 2022 at 9 a.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard in the county boardroom of Sauk County West Square Building in the city of Baraboo to consider petition 12-22. A petition to consider a variance request pursuant to section 8.011 and section 8.016 of the Sauk County zoning ordinance for the notification to the location and size of legal non-conforming retaining walls within the minimal shoreline setback. The variance request is associated with land described as part of the northwest corner of the northeast corner of section 9, township 10, north, range 7 east, tax parcel 0260878-00000 in the town of Merrimack, Sauk County, Wisconsin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you give your name and address for the record?
Tate Hillman, Sauk County LRE staff.
Do you swear to tell the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, this request is made by Adam and Lynn Blonsky, property owners, and Stephen Swenson, applicant for the property owners, for a variance to section 8.011, which is to allow for a variance to the minimum setback distance of 75 feet to the ordinary high water mark, and a variance to section 8.016 to allow for the replacement of non-conforming structures. The request includes the removal of existing retaining walls and replacement with new retaining walls within the 75-foot setback to the ordinary high water mark of Lake Wisconsin. Such structures, as applied for, would require variances of 69 feet, 67 feet, 61.9 feet, 34.5 feet, 34.5 feet, 8.1 feet, and 34.5 feet from the minimum setback distance of 75 feet to the ordinary high water mark of Lake Wisconsin. Should the variance be approved, they would then need to apply for a land use permit per section 7.153 to allow for the placement of the new retaining walls. Background, Sauk County LRE received a land use permit application for the property completed by the Bruce Company in December of 2021 for the removal and replacement of landscape walls and steps at S7701 West Grandview Avenue. After review of the submitted permit application and guidance from the Wisconsin DNR on the existing and proposed impervious surfaces present on the site, it was determined that the property owners would be required to apply for a variance in order to complete the project as requested to remove and replace the existing retaining walls. If approved, a land use permit application would be required to construct the proposed retaining walls. Implementation of mitigation to accommodate any increase in impervious surface percentage above that for which was already present that was considered legal nonconforming would also be required and is proposed on the site plan submitted by Quam Engineering as part of the application in Exhibit C. The analysis, based on the application provided, the Blonskys are requesting an area variance, which provides an increment of relief for a dimensional restriction, and the applicants are responsible for showing how this meets all three statutory variance criteria in order to be approved. Zoning ordinance standards and criteria. In reviewing a variance appeal, the Board of Adjustment shall follow the standards pursuant to Section 7.149, Paragraph C. To authorize such a variance, from the terms of the ordinance, the applicant must show that the proposed variance will not be contrary to the public interest, where, owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement will result in an unnecessary hardship, and so that the spirit of the ordinance shall be observed and substantial justice done. Variance criteria. Number 1, unnecessary hardship exists when compliance would unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose or would render conformity with such restrictions unnecessarily burdensome. The findings. The applicant has implied that there is an unnecessary hardship, stating that the proposed landscape walls need to be the exact height, width, and length and location of the existing walls with no deviation. The application states that the existing walls were installed incorrectly and are failing, which is leading to erosion of soil into the lake and loss of the yard. The applicant also states that the failing walls are a safety hazard and the steps to the lake are excessively steep and narrow and not compliant with current building codes. Stairs and steps up to 60 inches in width are permitted through a land use permit within 75 feet of the ordinary high water mark to access a water body without a variance. The Wisconsin Supreme Court has ruled that unnecessary hardship only exists when the zoning ordinance denies all reasonable use of a property. Staff submits that as part of this review, the proposal does not meet the hardship criteria for a variance to be approved. Number 2, unique physical property limitations. The findings, the applicant addresses the unique property limitations as follows: site topography warranting significant erosion control measures, careful consideration of stormwater runoff, and the application of best management practices. The department recognizes that high slope areas are present on the property, but this does not prevent the applicant from replacing existing retaining walls within the same footprint or replacing existing retaining walls with living walls which are permitted within the shoreline setback. Unique property limitations are physical characteristics of the property which may prevent the applicant from developing in compliance with the zoning ordinance. Staff submits that as part of this review, the proposal does not meet the unique physical property limitations, and please see Exhibit F for the staff site photos. 3, no harm to public interest. A variance may not be granted, which results in harm to public interest. The findings, the applicant's application states that the public interest is met as the proposed retaining walls and steps will replace failing and degrading elements currently on site. Conducting this project would protect the health, safety, and welfare of any individual that spent time on the property, as stated by the applicant's application. The statutes of the existing retaining walls and whether or not they are structurally sound has not been assessed by an engineer to verify their condition or safety status at this time. The department submits that as part of this review, the proposal may not result in harm to the public interest. The plan Plan Commission and Town Board recommendation. The Town Board of Merrimack met on June 8th, 2022 and recommended approval of the variance, which is Exhibit D. Land Resources and Environment staff recommendations. Based on the information provided and the analysis of section 7.149 paragraph C of the Sauk County Code of Ordinances, staff submits that this application fails to meet the standards and requirements for variances to be approved. The department recommends denial of this application. Should the Board of Adjustment choose to deny the variance as requested, staff would recommend that the following conditions be considered. The applicant should work with the department to research the use of living walls that can be permitted within the setback and installed for bank stabilization and to mitigate erosion. B, apply for a land use permit for replacement of steps to the lake that meet the standards and requirements of Chapter 8 of the Sauk County Code of Ordinances. Should the Board of Adjustment choose to approve the variance request, staff would recommend the following conditions be considered. The use shall be established and constructed in accordance with the plans, specifications, and information provided as part of the record to the Sauk County Board of Adjustment on June 30th, 2022. B, the property owner shall apply for and be issued a land use permit by the department pursuant to Sauk County Code Section 7.153, Land Use Permits, Review Procedure and Standards. All state, federal, and town permits applicable to the use shall be obtained by the property owner. C, no work shall be commenced prior to receiving the Board of Adjustment decision letter and all other applicable permits required for the construction of new retaining walls and steps. D, the smallest amount of land necessary for construction shall be disturbed. E, a setback survey shall be completed by a land surveyor after completion of construction to verify the setback distance to the ordinary high water mark of Lake Wisconsin. F, appropriate erosion control measures shall be installed prior to construction and maintained until the site has been revegetated. G, Sauk County Land Resources and Environment shall be granted permission to view the site to ensure compliance with these conditions and other relevant provisions of Sauk County ordinances. The power to ensure compliance with these conditions is given to Sauk County Land Resources and Environment. If the department finds that any of these conditions have been violated, they are hereby authorized to take corrective action, either through suspension of the permit, citations, or by any means of enforcement that is within their power. H, failure to comply with the standards and conditions of this variance may result in the revocation of said permit and order for removal of any structures or discontinuance of any use thereby permitted by the variance by the Board of Adjustment. Department recommendation. The department recommends a motion to deny the requested variances based upon the findings of fact and conclusions of law subject to the staff analysis and conditions noted herein.
Any of the board members have any questions for the staff member?
Do you have the photos to show, or just what we had online?
Just what you had online, the staff photos that I had.
Paper copies to show.
That the applicant will be able to bring up when they address their concerns.
I think one of my questions is just the uniqueness of the property. From what I understand from previous petitions that have come, it needs to be unique to just that property and not the surrounding properties. Are the surrounding properties similar as far as topography and the slopes to the lake?
Many properties around Lake Wisconsin like that are similar, where they do have slopes in some areas on some properties and other properties are flat. It kind of depends on the area, but the properties around this area do have some areas of slopes like that.
So it's not considered unique to the lake community?
Staff doesn't believe so in this case.
Thank you.
And the application is not for just replacing the current structure in its current footprint?
Correct, it is for modifying.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Would the applicant come forward, please? Would you state your name and address for the record?
Steven Swenson with the Bruce Company in Middleton, Wisconsin.
And you swear to tell the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, thanks for the opportunity to represent the Blonskis. I'm a landscape architect at the Bruce Company. I've been there about 11 years. And I've done projects in Sauk County, Dane County, Columbia County, lots of lake projects, probably 30 of them over that 10-year span. I previously worked with Steve Sorensen, if you remember him here. And then since his retirement, I've been working with Tate for about the last 1 to 2 years. I also know there's been rule and regulation changes from when Steve was working here till now when Tate's been here. So Tate's been guiding me, not only on this job, but other jobs that we've successfully permitted in Sauk County. So in regards to the Blonsky project specifically, as Tate kind of did a recap, we submitted a land use permit, but he brought the things to our attention that we were needed a variance for each wall to state, because these are existing structures in the setback. So if they have to be removed and replaced, then the limit, it cannot go any closer to the lake in which it already is. So that's why there's so many variances, you know, wall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, to show that we did a professional survey. And if I may, can I pass these out to you?
Do they need to be numbered or something?
Okay. Number. This is G.
Just identify what it is that you're passing.
Oh, this would be Exhibit G, I guess, which is the submittal that we submitted electronically to the county.
Sure.
So the aerial image is current aerial imagery, and we're speaking of what's on the lake side of the property. So you can see the existing landscape walls between the home and the body of water. You'll see some of them are timber walls or precast walls, and you'll see the steps. If you then look at Exhibit G, which is in front of you, the 4-page packet, page number 1 is the existing conditions as noted by the surveyor. And then page 2, which is the next page, is the proposed. And basically, we're putting the new walls in the same place as the old walls, with the exception of 2 areas. One area is there's a tree that was in the middle between 2 walls. It was diseased and has since been removed. So we're just trying to connect them. And then there's another section that shows a ramp, maybe 5 to 6 feet wide, where they used to be a lawnmower, and we're just wanting to connect the walls for continuous, so that it's one continuous wall. But in both scenarios, we are not going any closer to the lake. They both would meet the objectives of the minimum, or the not encroaching any closer than they presently are to the body of water. The stairs that are adjacent to the boathouse are going in the same place, within a few inches. The current wall is currently like slightly not squared to the building, so we're just going to square it up. So we're talking about a few inches of adjustment. The proposed, something that Tate brought to my attention is that in these changes to the walls, that we would be adding impervious surface to the site. And if we add impervious surface because of additional square footage, whether it be a stepping stone or the step or a few extra stones of these walls in this remove and replace project, it would require mitigation. So we involved Quam Engineering to come up with a mitigation solution, which was basically a rock trench, which meets section, I think it's like 8.017 of the mitigation requirements, which means that a certain percentage of the roof water that's on Blonsky's home goes into a pipe and then into a rock trench, so it doesn't discharge directly into the lake. And that's what offsets the additional impervious surface, so it becomes a net zero. The hardship that we stated was the public safety of walkability of the steps. The current walls are pushing over and failing. We have soil loss going into the lake presently, and in our proposed scheme of remove and replace, we would have natural stone walls, which are depicted on page 2 of the exhibit there. And soil loss that we have. Are there questions for me?
What issues would there be if the walls were not able to be connected?
So basically, it would be a wall that it's roughly 2 feet tall. It would stop and then just be a gap, like a 5-foot gap, and then it would continue. So the gap is where the tree was, okay? The tree was diseased and died and was right sandwiched in between the two existing walls. So in the absence of the tree, we're just looking to bridge the gap.
And if you weren't able to bridge that gap, what would happen to the land there? Would it continue to erode now that the tree is gone?
It would erode, yeah, because we'd have to have mulch or something, and then it would just slough off.
Sure.
And the same with the ramp section, which was just wide enough to push a lawnmower up from the upper tier to the lower tier. We don't need a ramp anymore. The Blonsky said they can just carry the lawnmower by hand up and down the steps. And again, there's 2 walls existing, and we're just looking to connect them so it's continuous and therefore less erosion. Otherwise, 95% of all these other walls are just same location, same footprint. So the town of Merrimack approved it. Tate is trying to interpret the rules, and according to the rules, it's they have their thoughts, but we're just trying to be reasonable. I'm not trying to bend any rules. I'm not trying to make something that isn't something. Based on my experience, I always follow the letter of the law. And Blonsky's are just asking for some reasonableness to say if these 2 sections can be connected. Otherwise, it's just a gap. It doesn't look finished, and it's more erosion.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in favor would want to come up? Just state your name and address, please.
My name is Adam Blonsky. My address is S7701 West Grandview, Merrimack.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. The way I look at this is we're looking to simply replace what's there. The only difference is, as Stephen said, a small section where we hope to connect 2 walls to prevent erosion, as there is a good 4 or 5 foot drop in elevation in that area, as well as my understanding is the law, ordinance, whatever, was enacted to help protect and beautify the lakefront and the shoreland, and that's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to prevent erosion of soil into the shoreland. The only real difference is the depth of the wall. If you look at it from the lake, everything's going to look exactly as it was. There's no change in how close we're moving to it. If anything, we're moving away in a few sections, and we're looking at increasing the depth from maybe 15 to 18 inches to 24 to 30 inches. And to mitigate that, we're going to build a rock trench to help collect water and prevent further erosion and direct runoff into the lake. I just hope that the spirit of the ordinance is followed, which I think is to protect and beautify, and replacing a man-made material with natural material will help do that as well. I do have concerns because of the steepness of the stairs. With children and grandchildren, it's a risk, and I don't want anybody to get hurt. So, any questions for me at all? Can you explain what you're talking about with the steepness of the stairs? The stairs you're putting in, you're concerned that it's too steep? No, sir. The stairs that are existing there now. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anybody else is in favor of? State your name and address, please.
My name is Lynn Blonsky, S7701 Grandview, Merrimack, Wisconsin.
Could you raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As I said, Lynn Blonsky. The reason I'm standing here is just to tell you that we love our home in Merrimack. We love everything about what we are experiencing in Wisconsin. We're hoping to be here forever, and our children will be here forever in this beautiful home. We're trying to make the landscaping safe, and we're trying to make it beautiful, and we just hope that you'll consider those requests as you determine whether we can move forward with the project. We're hopeful that with your consideration, we can make the property safe, and it'll be that way forever. So we appreciate your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Anybody else in favor of? Anybody? You want to come up again then?
Okay, I'm just gonna say, I have additional photos if you wish. I have
State your name again for the record.
Stephen Swenson, Bruce Company, Middleton, Wisconsin. I would just like to state that, I forgot, I have additional site photos that are larger, easier to view than the smaller prints, so if you wish to view them, I can give them to you.
Please,
Okay.
As exhibit what?
they're in there.
Oh, they're already in there, okay.
Yeah, he's just got nicer size. I don't know about you, but my eyes
Thank
can
you.
use bigger.
Sorry.
There we go.
They might be easier to see, but if you look at the plan and correlate the boathouse location or the house location, you'll see the existing walls, and specifically like that tree we were describing where there's a tree. The picture shows the tree, but the tree is now gone because it was diseased and removed, so you'll see the gap in which we're just connecting. You'll see the existing stairs that are going to be rebuilt to be safer, and hopefully that helps. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? Anybody as interest may appear? We should close this session then, and go into deliberation.
Can I ask Tate a question?
You can do whatever you want. State your name for the record, please.
Tate Hillman, Sauk County LRE.
I have one question. Some of these are wood walls,
Mhm.
and I understand the comment that those tend to deteriorate quicker.
Correct.
Is an option for us to allow that to be replaced by stone walls, or is it kind of a all or nothing?
You would be able to allow individual. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, can we ask Gina to come up?
State your name, please.
Gina Templin Stewart, LRE. The DNR is very specific when you're replacing a structure that is considered legal nonconforming. It has to be in the exact same footprint, exact same size. So if they were going to replace that wood retaining wall, if it's railroad ties, if it's landscape, wood blocks, whatever you're replacing it with has to be that exact same size in that exact same space. And it's my understanding that what is being proposed is not that. It's larger. And I believe Tate had also suggested that there are some alternatives such as
The materials
living
also-
walls,
The materials
vegetative
also
type.
have to blend into the environment, is that not so?
I believe that's one of the criteria you can look at, but they can replace a legal non-conforming structure, but it has to be in the exact same footprint, the exact same size.
Thank you.
So I got a question, Gina, though. So the erosion issue, obviously replacing those railroad ties is not gonna fix the erosion issue. DNR has to be looking at that option as well, or that
So
issue.
there, like I said, there are a couple different options. There are what you call a living wall. There are options out there that people address erosion issues with.
What is a living wall? I'm not familiar.
It's a vegetative type sock. It's not a solid rock. You're not
Gotcha.
putting a boulder in there. But again, they do have the option to replace what is there with something of the exact same size, in the exact same location. The problem, I think, here, I don't want to speak for Tate, but with a variance, they have to meet all 3 criteria. So those are the things that they need to talk to.
Thank you.
Answers your question?
Yep, that answers mine.
Thank you. So now we go into
Deliberation.
our session. Comments from the board?
I understand the intent, and I can appreciate the intent to put something that's gonna look nice and to dress it up. But I also understand the criteria that has to be met to give the variances. And everything that I'm seeing doesn't show that this meets those criteria.
I'd have to tend to agree with you, unfortunately. I mean, I think that there's some uniqueness to the property itself that exhibits some limitations as to what you may or may not be able to do, but DNR is specific, as Gina pointed out, and we do have to follow that.
I have,
We're in closed session,
No, yeah,
We're in closed
we're in
session.
deliberation.
unless somebody wants to reopen, but otherwise.
Do we want to reopen?
I think I
I
can.
think we've got the information we need.
So I don't have any additional comments other than that.
The town of Merrimack, I assume, have seen all the blueprints and stuff, and they're on board.
Yeah, they're looking at only their ordinances, not the county ordinances.
That's true.
So, if there's no other comments, I'd make a motion to deny the application, unfortunately.
But with the conditions that they had in here, that they can do the steps, I think.
Yeah, they can still replace what's there as long as they
Well,
don't need a
but-
variance.
And apply for the land use permit to replace the steps, so the conditions listed by LRE.
For denial, I need to state that.
Yeah, deny that suggests that they follow the,
Okay.
recommend the following conditions.
Then yes, including those conditions.
We have a motion to deny the variance. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Right.
Aye.
Opposed? The variance fails.
I wish we could approve, because it would be a very
would be
nice
nice.
addition, but
You can approve it. We're trying to replace it with stone versus Menards bricks.
it's over, but
There's other remedies, as LRE stated.
what I was gonna show was a similar job, which was timbers replaced with stone.
Again, this is a specific case that we have to look at the facts and findings of this one only, not only other jobs, and not other jobs as well.
But the DNR, to my knowledge, as I deal with it a lot, if you dip your toe in the water, that's DNR jurisdiction. You're on private property, which we are, that's county regulations. Although this is shoreline zoning, this is at the county level, not the DNR level, that the decision.
Again, you're showing us a picture that we don't know all the facts and findings of. We don't know if that was replacing a specific structure, or if there was any variances involved in that as well. And it really doesn't pertain to this case, so there's nothing else we can really do, unfortunately. You have the opportunity to appeal, I do believe, so if that's what you want to do, you have other remedies.
Okay.
We can close, correct?
you might want to go with this.
How does the appeal process work?
You have to talk to the LRE staff on that.
Number 6, Board of Adjustment training. Does somebody want to comment on that?
Alternative dates would like to be known, if there are any.
So, the Center for Land Use is putting on a couple of training sessions. Most of them are through Zoom webinar type things. A lot of them are at night right now. The last communication I got, I believe they're recording them. If I can get a recorded version of it, I'll send it out to you guys. But in the meantime, I'll see if I can get some alternative dates as well, because I think the ones in person were up north.
Is this the same one that they had earlier or last fall? They had one, is this the same thing, or will it be something new?
I'll check it out. I'll see what's on their agenda to see what they've got. But I know everything they typically put out is pretty good because they try to address current situations.
Okay.
So, but I'll get something back to you. But the ones, the information I sent out doesn't work right now for you guys.
Will you send out the information for getting on to, I can attend that webinar and I'd like to.
Okay.
So if you can send out the information so I can either register or log on.
Okay. And then if I get a hold of any recordings, I'll just forward those as I get them. Okay?
Anything else that should come before the board today? Our next meeting is July 28th. With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you for your time and patience.